for showing up. I know we're getting towards the end of Ignite, and so it's really exciting to see that still so many people are here, and we're really excited to kind of walk through modern workplace and then really spend some time on mixed reality. I do want to start and be respectful of your guys' time, and so maybe just by a show of hands, did anyone attend the session we had yesterday? We had about a 75-minute session on mixed reality. Okay, so for those of you who did, some of this will look very familiar, and so I want to be respectful of your time. We will cover some different aspects of it. If you've got questions, we can answer those questions as well. But for those who didn't, we're really excited to kind of share our vision, where we're going with mixed reality in the modern workplace, and some of the great new apps that we've kind of launched earlier this week. I'm going to be joined by Eric here shortly, and we're going to walk through exactly what this looks like. Before we start, kind of a theme that we've seen pretty consistently here is really the workplace has changed, right? But it's changing rapidly. It's changing in a couple different ways. The pace of that change is accelerating, and what's that doing is it's forcing organizations to rethink how they operate. They have to rethink the workplace that they're building and delivering for their employees. They have to rethink the processes that they're executing on kind of the first line of their organization and really giving them new tools to be productive. You know, one thing I really like about this is just to add some context, like how fast this is actually happening. And so this is a stat, maybe some of you have seen this, but of the Fortune 500, so the 500 largest organizations out there, you know, when we think about where they were in 1955 until today, 89% of them are gone. What that means is these organizations aren't changing fast enough. They aren't adapting to what's going on around them, and they aren't making the investments they need to be successful. There's kind of three trends driving that, and we'll walk through what each of those look like. We'll also talk about how we're going to address those trends and how mixed reality really helps organizations take advantage of the trends that are really driving this shift and changing how companies have to compete. The first is the rise of connected devices. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. One, we're all pretty familiar with PCs, smartphones, tablets. We probably have too many of them. I know I do. The other thing is kind of the Internet of Things and these connected devices. The pace of that is really accelerating, and those devices are really playing out on the edge of the organization, whether that's sensors or something like a mixed reality device like a HoloLens, for example. The next is this kind of the rapid explosion of data. So back in 2006, there was, less than 1 zettabyte of data, which is, gigabytes, terabytes. 1 zettabyte, I believe we've got a key in the lower right-hand corner or left-hand corner for you, equals kind of 1 terabyte or 1 billion terabytes, so it's a lot. And as that kind of moves forward, the explosion of data is really forcing us to think of how we take advantage of this in new ways. And so you've got devices on one hand, you've got this new kind of rise of data on the other, and really we're looking for opportunities to bring those together, to kind of take those experiences that an employee might want to have on the first line and give them the tools to be successful. We see bringing together kind of devices and data across the modern workplace, but one that we're really excited about is mixed reality. Mixed reality enables kind of a new way to work. It's placing all that information, that growth in information, where workers need it, so right with them, in the context of their work. One thing that we love about this is just how fast organizations are adopting mixed reality. And so when we looked and kind of surveyed the market, we found about 90% of organizations are actually actively either exploring, deploying, or actually using mixed reality every day in their workplace. With that, it kind of brings us to what we see as our unique opportunity, which is really bringing together the investments that we're making in modern workplace around Microsoft 365 and mixed reality. With that, I'm going to have kind of Eric come up, and he's going to walk through what mixed reality looks like and the investments there.
All right. Oh, there we go. Loud microphone. Good morning. Thank you, Andrew. Let's give it up for Andrew, rock star. He's only given 17 presentations this whole week. He's like demo and presentation extraordinaire. Good morning. How is everybody? Not caffeinated? No? Or you guys had too much fun last night? How many of you went partying last night? None? Oh. It's just Ignite. We don't party. We work. Well, good morning. My name is Eric Camont. I am, thank you again, Andrew, for that. For those of you who were in my session yesterday, I won't belabor the entire intro, but for those of you that weren't, I get the honor of working on our Windows Mixed Reality, or HoloLens team. I've been on the team 3 years, been at Microsoft 14, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. So do not confuse the fact that you get to work on awesome new tech and have to live in Seattle. That isn't necessarily true, at least for me. So we're going to talk a little bit about how mixed reality and the modern workplace tie together. And what I want to do is, for those of you that may or maybe are not familiar with HoloLens or mixed reality, I want to give you a little bit of a primer on some of this. Out of curiosity, how many of you have HoloLens? Raise your hand. Oh, a number of you. How many of you have had demonstrations or played with or seen HoloLens? Raise your hand. Lovely. All right, so I have a familiarity of base here with most of you, which is fantastic. Now, when we think about HoloLens, mixed reality, modern workplace, and where we're going as a company, we think it might also be valuable for you to understand why. Frequently, we don't get into the conversation. We talk about the what, we talk about the how. Frequently, you don't talk about the why. So why are we doing the things, and how does that translate to you? So when you think, oh my God, this is amazing technology, but I can't really get it into my organization, or I have trouble building software for my clients, or whatever, a lot of times it's the why that's holding you back, not necessarily the how. We can solve how all day long, sometimes the why. So you see a picture here. Now, look at the picture, think of words, description words that might come to mind. Frequently, you might think of, wow, that's cool, I smell the air that young girl is seeing, or breathing, rather. You don't see air frequently, unless you live in Beijing, I guess, or LA, or Seattle when they had the wildfires. The point being is you can feel all the senses and all the words and the experiences that this young girl is going through based on interpretation of her 5 senses. And most of us have experienced this. We know what it's like to feel the sun on our face. We know what it's like to wisp our fans across the grass. What's interesting about this is the exact type of thing that we've been trying to replicate for decades. This is the input-output system. For those of you that work in IoT or work with sensors, you have these amazing 10 sensors sitting on your fingers. What do? They take input from the universe and they put it to your brain so you process it. That's too hot, that's too cold, that feels just about right. Your eyes, your ears, so on and so forth. The point is the human body is an amazing computer. When we think about what we're trying to do, we're trying to augment reality. Well, we are the reality. So when we think about how do we augment it, we have to think about it in the context of your 5 senses. How do we replicate those things? That's some of the premise between artificial intelligence. That's some of the premise behind getting signal. So if you think about it in the context of going, okay, I am changing the way our human experience and conditions are and trying to get that into computers, into the cloud, into organizations, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. The other side of this I heard one time, by the way, which I thought was great, was a lady said, I saw this picture and I think hay fever. So for those of you, I apologize. But the idea, if you think about it as human beings being this input-output sensor mechanism, you kind of go, well, it's not really that hard to connect the dots on what is essentially the digital feedback loop. We hear this continually at Microsoft. We hear this in the technology world where for those folks that want to go out and try to talk to their customers, I want to get feedback. I want you to do this survey. I want you to do this beta, this public preview. Can you test this? Can you give me some insights into your thoughts? You will be asked to do an evaluation after the session is over. We want your signal. Did we do good? Did we do bad? What can we fix in the future? This is no different than how technology works. I think about the situation of engaging customers. This scenario right here. I want to be able to get some signal from you so that I can go and have a deeper relationship, right? It's very easy to get on a train and give everybody the dirty look. That's signal you don't want to talk to anybody, but you can have a really nice smile walking down the street. You're engaging. Ooh, I want to give you signal that I want to have a deeper relationship with you. The same thing again in technology. Operations, we can get signal that says I want to be operationally efficient. I can transform products, again, from a design perspective. The point is that flow, that feedback loop is continuous. It happens across all of our products, whether it's mixed reality or something like Dynamics or Microsoft 365 or somewhere in between. The idea is that we're continually taking data, transforming it into intelligence so I can make action. Does that make sense? A little bit of the why? Now, when I say the words mixed reality, people go, cool, I've heard this. How does that compare to AR, VR, MR, XR, all the Rs? All of the Rs, give me all the Rs. right now, and we'll put them on this here, and we'll give you an idea, kind of a crash course in how does mixed reality land. So on the left-hand side, you've got physical reality, which is what we're in right now. This is the human condition. And on the other side, you have digital reality, right? That is the full digital representation of your 5 human senses. Now, arguably, you'd be like, well, is digital reality a thing? Well, it's pretty hard to say. I don't know how many of you replicated all of your 5 digital senses and didn't know you were being replicated. So unless you live in the Matrix and your name is Neo, that's probably not really the case. But what we find is somewhere in between those 2 worlds, the blending of physical and digital, is the mixed reality spectrum. And that is continuum. That has AR on one side and VR on the other, and you can pull these levers on how augmented is the world, how digital are the items, and you kind of move this AR and VR spectrum back and forth. Does that make sense to most folks? So as an example, you might just want to take the physical world and I want to put some digital content. That could be a work order system. It could be a pick list. It could be instructions on how to put together a child's crib, which all of us have probably tried at one point in time or another. We know that there's always this item where I want to be able to augment with instruction, direction, training, collaboration. On the other side, you might say, well, I want to add more digitization. So instead of the physical world, now I'm going to add more digital content. So instead of my room, now I'm digitizing the room, so now that's a digital experience. The only thing that might be remaining is the person that's augmented. And so you kind of just move yourself to the right on that spectrum to VR, where you're essentially could have an opaque device on your face. I could put you in the corner of the room and you wouldn't know the difference. How many of you tried the Void experience over at Disney? Anybody play with that VR experience? If you haven't, it's pretty cool. It was an example of something that was here as a ride, but you have plenty of opportunity to try things. And then the nice part is for those of you that have any interest, we also have demonstrations down in the expo floor, I guess over in the OCCCCCCCCC. There's too many C's on that one. Over in the other expo floor, you can go check out mixed reality and understand what we're doing there as well. Immersive devices, yeah, I talked about that. Build slides. For the voice of customer, so Andrew talked about this. You saw the 87% of folks are out there exploring mixed reality solutions today. Kind of want to double click in this. This is out of the same study. Harvard Business Review put together a kind of an analysis that said of something like 300 or 400 organizations of different industries, different sizes, what are you doing with mixed reality? Now, 87% are doing something. How important is it to that organization? Most of them, a large majority of them, said right today, 32% said it's very important, 35% said it's somewhat important. But in the next 3 years, a majority of them said it was going to be very important. So what that is for you got a bunch of industries and companies saying, we know it's going to be important for sure, we need to start thinking about it. The other side of it going is, well, what are you thinking about using mixed reality for? The very first leading one was around training and educating employees. Training and education for a lot of industries is one of the most arduous and difficult things to get your head wrapped around. If you're in retail, you have seasonal workers. If you're in manufacturing, it's trying to retrain someone on a line because the new lines come in the door. You know, we go through this training exercise here at Microsoft every single quarter, every single month. We have training and training and training. How do you do that in a less expensive but more impactful way? The next category was around analyzing data. Here's a great example. If all of these chairs in this audience are giving me sensor data off of every single leg, how do I repair something? When, for example, I know that row 7, chair 3, leg 2 is the one that's wobbly. Where is that? Well, I know that I'm capturing that data and I know I have that in a dashboard somewhere. But from a data visualization perspective, it's much more interesting if I could put a red push pin in an augmented way over the top of that particular chair and say, that is the one that needs work. How much faster can that work and be done by the first line worker? Expediting the amount of time it takes. How many truck rolls don't you have to do in the future so now I can solve 10,000 chairs in the course of a week instead of just 5,000 or whatever the magic number is. You get into assisting customers and employees remotely. Think of this as, I want a remote expert. How many of you have this situation where the expert is 5,000 miles away, or just in the office next door, or just not where you happen to be, and I wish they were here over my shoulder giving me some guidance? How interesting would that be? And there's a myriad of others. The challenge in all of this, and this is the opportunity for everybody sitting in this room, is it's not in the forefront of the mind of the leaders. So executives go, we know mixed reality is important, but it isn't the top priority of a lot of the executives. It is, however, a priority in a lot of the lines of business. So what you have are a bottoms-up approach instead of a top-down approach. That gives us the opportunity to go up and kind of upsell this, into the organization with great proofs of concepts and great pilots and great opportunity and use case scenarios and go, look what we can change, get your funding, get your budgeting, and move forward with the projects. So let's talk about the modern workplace. For years, we've been focused on this idea of information work. I have information at my fingers, I'm taking data, I make an intelligent decision, I'm an information worker. However, there's a lot of new focus around this first-line, quote-unquote, task worker. There's a lot of opportunity here, and many of you are going, yeah, of course we know there's opportunity here. We've been working with these folks for a long time. Our entire manufacturing, our retail, our hospitality, our industries are based on these folks. So in the case of, when you think about where the numbers kind of overlap, first-line workers blow out by a large majority the information workers in the business. You got a total addressable workforce around 3 billion, almost 2.5 of that is first-line workers. These are the people doing the repair work or torquing a wrench or putting together an airplane wing. Those are the ones that are literally going to keep all of us employed and make everything work every single day. And those are the ones we want to make sure mixed reality are working for efficiently. So where does mixed reality play with these first-line workers? On the left, you see a number of industries. Healthcare, for example, and manufacturing have been two of our biggest, most explosive industries where we've seen mixed reality land. I could make an argument that says I have not met a doctor or a physician or a professor training med school that couldn't do their job better in mixed reality than without it. I literally had nurses and radiologists come to me during conversations saying, I can literally cure, see more patients, deal with better patient outcomes because of mixed reality. I mean, just those are the kind of things that just warm your heart when you get that opportunity. In manufacturing, we've heard over and over and over, I can do my job better, faster, more efficiently, and safer with mixed reality than without. Retail, energy, education, we've had being able to train students, whether you happen to be a veterinarian student or you happen to be a PhD going for your physics degree, we can change the way you visualize the universe. And so there's 5 key areas that come to mind in these particular ones we'll talk about for the rest of the conversation. Remote collaboration. Remember, in that Harvard Business Review, this was like the #2 thing that was most important. And frequently, when we talk to customers, this is almost the #1 thing we hear back. I want to collaborate remotely with somebody so I don't have to travel, right? The expert is in, Germany, and I'm here in, Brazil, and I have the problem, but having that person come over is really expensive. How do we do that face-to-face? And this is beyond the scenario of just going, I've got a video or a Skype session or FaceTime or something. This is much more interactive. The other side is space planning. How do I lay out spaces? Everybody that's in retail is also a real estate company. Hospitals are also in the real estate business. Hotels, hospitality, CPG customers are thinking about how do I place product in a specific space? And it may be if you're in manufacturing, you're going through manufacturing lines. I'm going to redo those lines over and over and over again. It'd be nice to not have to move a 10-ton piece of machinery, but rather just flick my wrist, drag and drop a piece of digital equipment once, and then go, this is the design line that I happen to like, and go through that exercise. Other areas that we've seen a lot of focus on, training and development, again, just to the conversation we had prior, design and prototyping. For those of you that ever worked in or know folks that work in like CAD or BIM technology in the AEC space, this is all about products that are designed in 3-dimensional tools, then they're iterated. In the automotive industry, you do this with clay models, 3D print stuff. How about getting rid of that process and doing it all digitally? How much faster could you iterate? How much faster could you bring product to market? And then IoT. Again, this is the conversation about how do we take IoT sensors and augment the universe. And we'll actually have a case study that talks about this briefly. Now, for most of you, you raised your hand, said, hey, I've got a HoloLens or I've used HoloLens in the past, which is amazing. You get into the scenario of going, well, what's the most ideal situation for me? Do I go with some first-party off-the-shelf software? Do I build my own? What do I do? And so we think about spectrum so you can kind of get a better handle on what you might do inside your organization. Some organizations have great 3D capability. 3D capability is one of those things that's a big necessity when you talk about things in mixed reality. Why? Well, when you build a hologram, it has an X and a Y and a Z axis. most things that we design today, whether it are documents or pictures, don't have a z-axis to them. And you go, okay, that's interesting. I'll just add a z-axis from the CAD folk. Sure. Except when you do that and we have a hologram in real space, you don't want it just floating in the air. You want it to snap to the floor. You want it to butt up to the actual table or to the edge of something. You do that by understanding spatial design, which happens to be a skill they teach in the video game or the digital movie industry. It's not something you typically learned in computer science doing web UI. And so when you think about that, you go, okay, so my developers probably don't have these skills unless we're already in this business or they happen to do it on the side, in which case then you go, all right, who can I lean on? And so from the perspective of going, do I have MR capability as a high level inside my organization, or is it low? Arguably, most folks are kind of somewhere in the middle to low, just kind of how it is. Now, do you want off-the-shelf content I can reuse, or do you need something bespoke? You can find yourself in the quadrant. Now, out-of-box solutions on the top left are things like what we'll talk about. And you might say, great, those are already done. I don't need any 3D content. I need someone just to integrate it into my environment. So I need like a security specialist to make sure the hardware works, and somebody from Intune so they can make sure that it works on my network, and an Azure Active Directory person, which is a little different. Or you might build your own solution if you got your own competencies. Or on the left, or right-hand side rather, you could integrate with some of our partners. In the case of we've got solution integrators for the top right, or at the bottom right, you might go with like a digital agency. Someone you can literally say, just go build this entire thing, all the 3D content, and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about some of the partners that do this. But this is the part for you to be honest. If you can do an honest self-reflection of your organization and your skills, that will make you so much more successful because we can help you, help yourselves figure out where you are and then how to move forward. Is that fair? Now, if you're in the perspective of going, I have some talent in my organization, the 3D thing isn't a big deal because most of our scenarios might be in two-dimensional space, that's fine. What else can I build? So, Azure. How many of you run on Azure today? Raise your hands. And the rest of you run on AWS? Or we don't run at all. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. We're all friends here. It's all the clouds. They're just different colors. So they're gray clouds and white fluffy clouds. The idea is the intelligent cloud is a big part for making mixed reality work. And we think about what mixed reality brings to bear. If I'm in HoloLens, it's really interesting. I can see a hologram. The power comes when I'm collaborating with somebody else. I'm seeing it in the context of a design review with other people. I'm training somebody else on the other end of this device. Someone is helping me. That stuff depends on connections, and a lot of that depends on the cloud. Certain questions come up. Well, what can the cloud afford me to be able to do? Natural language interaction is a big deal. For example, we're just releasing an OS upgrade to the HoloLens device that'll allow multilingual support, specifically for Chinese and Japanese languages. Being able to speak naturally and then have it interpret the languages, that's very interesting when you think, again, about my first-line workers. How many of the manufacturing organizations have some outsourcing into Asia, to the Middle East, to Germany, to South America? Like, language is a big barrier a lot of times. This is an important factor for a lot of them. Being able to recognize objects. Basically, HoloLens doesn't know the difference between a Pringles can and a broomstick. It doesn't do object recognition. The cloud is able to get trained on recognizing objects. That's how that works. That's a big focus. How do I perceive the real world? Again, thinking it back to the why. We are trying to augment the human senses. Well, I don't do that by not recognizing the difference in colors or sound or in sensor technology. You have to train models to be able to do that kind of stuff. When you think about real-world visualization, we have things like QR code tracking is a big one. That's common. I got a work order. I want to scan it with a QR code. I wanted to bring up something out of my ERP system. Contextual data access, right? I want data shoved to me in context. I don't want to see and have to pick. I want to be able to walk around and have that data floated at me based on what I'm in front of. Cross-device collaboration. This could be like a mobile to VR to HoloLens to PC experience. That's a big deal as well because you go, well, not everybody has one of these, but they're all part of the same workflow. And then something like cloud streaming. For those of you who played with HoloLens for a while, taking a 75 million polygon 3D CAD model just doesn't work on just as basically any device, let alone Bob's super awesome CAD rig that's like $50,000. So we leverage the cloud, and we have GPUs in the cloud that can do streaming capabilities. And so these are the things you can think about. There's tons of others, but these are what we see coming up over and over again about the hard workloads to solve for. Now, I want to show you something we're doing with Remote Assist. Now, you may have seen the announcement earlier in the week. We have two products we talked about, the remote collaboration and the spatial planning. We're going to talk through those. And so Dynamics 365 Remote Assist we announced. This is a first-line worker solution you can buy out of the box. What do we do? Well, it's intended to solve field service challenges. Now, it integrates with Dynamics 365 Field Service, so for those of you that are Dynamics customers, that's amazing, but it's not a requirement in terms of having the field service. It's just like that's an amazing advantage. But the idea is you can solve problems in minutes, not days. If you think about the idea that I have to get an expert on a plane and fly across the sea, or I worked with an auto manufacturer one time where they had some guru who would travel around the US, and they had like a 2-month backlog on work because this person just couldn't physically be everywhere at the same time. They implemented some of the work they were doing here, and they were able to take weeks and weeks of time and down to hours and days. And so when you go, I got a bunch of customers waiting to get their car serviced because this guy happens to be doing 10 other servicing scenarios, well, how much faster can you get the work done? Customer satisfaction goes up. You're not holding on to inventory, waiting to get broken, all those kind of fun things. And the nice part is you can connect with the best of Microsoft. And this is intended to be about not only our technology, but our expertise. And so you think about being able to find the right experts at the right time, that's a huge deal. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a video on what Remote Assist looks like.
No matter where you work or what you do, collaboration is the key to success. When challenges arise, you need the right people with the right expertise. But bringing people together isn't always easy, and travel is not always an option. With Remote Assist, help is always a moment away. With a window into your world, backed by enterprise-level security, your team can collaborate with shared perspective, anytime, anywhere.
Bonjour, Amy. How can I help you?
We're having some issues with our machine in C5. I could really use your help again.
We just updated the manual for these.
Great.
This looks like an electrical issue.
I've never seen that before. Have you?
I think the Osaka plant had the same problem.
Oh, yeah. Do you think it's this component?
Looks like the wiring is loose on that component.
Okay. That's a problem right there.
Even though you might be a world apart, you can solve problems together.
Great. Thanks for the help.
By bringing digital content and mixed reality annotations into your world, and connecting people across devices, you can get the help you need to solve difficult problems faster.
So does that kind of help communicate the value proposition of something like remote collaboration? I mean, how many of you, couldn't have fixed a washer and dryer if, Whirlpool had one of these? You're like, I have my HoloLens on, and I'm here. Like, you just need instructions. Even at home. But I can't even think about the power of something like this in the workplace. So we've heard this over and over again. So now you've got a solution you can take into your organization. It's got a very low barrier of entry, and we'll talk about that. So what does it offer you? Hands-free audio and video calling. So you get to talk to the people, as you saw, right? She's having a audio conversation in addition to video. It's compatible with Microsoft Teams. So for those of you that are thinking about Teams or are on Teams already, this is a requirement. You will want to be on Teams, and that's how you can help initialize the calls coming out of the Teams environment. It allows for multi-way inking and arrow insertion. So the idea is you can mark up the real world with arrows. You saw her point that, and she was able to kind of draw some circles and help kind of go back and forth. You also saw her pull a work instruction out of OneDrive in the form of a PDF, which you can just kind of drag and drop. And the nice part about a PDF, for those of you that use work instructions, you can scale that from 8.5 to 11 to like 8 feet by 10 feet if you really want to. And so if you work with work instructions in PDF, sometimes you're like, okay, I gotta get the microscope out and I can't fit it on paper, but holographically, you have infinite space. I can make that super big. Well, that's very interesting when you think about, again, just making sure I have the instructions correctly. In call, text chat, we've talked about enterprise level identity. This was a big feedback we got from customers was, that's amazing, I wanna do this, but I'm working on a part. By the way, it's top secret, I'm doing work for the government, and it's, I don't want any foreign espionage to play in. I need a secure connection. How do I ensure that? So we support all of the enterprise security you would come to expect from Windows, including things like Azure Active Directory, single sign-on authentication, and so on and so forth. I can do streaming. This is really interesting too. One of the things, if you ever play with HoloLens, and I'm going to give you don't abuse this power. With great power comes great responsibility. You know how to do the air tap? Bloom is essentially the equivalent of the Windows key on a keyboard. Well, what you can do is when you have a video call with remote assist, I can bloom out of it. It keeps the video connection, and I can open up another holographic application. So I'm able to see. I can't mark up that particular application, but I'm able to open up other apps and see from the 2 points of view what's going on. There's a lot of power being able to keep the video connection up and seeing other applications in holographic space, like a work order system or field service or something else. I could do mixed reality capture. So think about all the markup stuff, and then I want to take a picture of that and say, I want to use this as the auditing for the QA auditors for ISO. I want to take this and I want to upload it as documentation that I've done the work. A lot of times this is done by having a buddy with you. Okay, can you double check the work I've done? Yes, I've double checked and I wrote it off on a piece of paper. Now I can do that digitally. I can do screen sharing, I can do automatic volume adjustment. You saw kind of the documents and things change, as well as integration with Dynamics 365 for field service. We talked about that. And of course, it works on HoloLens, no shock there, as well as our PC. And we have mobile, so the idea you'll be able to have a mobile advisor as well. That's a future iteration coming. So what do you need to make that work? HoloLens shouldn't be a surprise. So if you don't have one of those, we can work with you to get those. Remote assist licenses, as well as Teams. And then, of course, if you need the things like Dynamics 365 for field service or Power BI, for example, all those things are at the URL below. Now, that's remote collaboration. The other one that was very, very top of mind was spatial planning and design. And so we created a product called Dynamics 365 Layout. And this has allowed you to design spaces in context with mixed reality. Here's a really fun fact, right, for those of you who work across these industries. You want to be able to do layouts in real-world spaces. So there's a whole concept of going, well, I kind of think this product is going to fit about here. And you get out with a tape measure and you start measuring things. The folks that design these rooms at these conference centers and these hotels, they have custom CAD software. They have to come out and arrange all these chairs. They put measuring tape between these chairs. Talk about the amount of work and effort to just put chairs in a room. By the way, if you ever got married and you're like, well, I don't want the 6 people at this table, I only want 5 people at this table, that is a mathematical Tetris problem. Something we can do with spatial layout instead of going, okay, does it fit here? Does it fit here? Just, again, expediting the problem. So you can do that, and then you can edit the physical designs very easily. So I can take a design, I can load it into the tool, I can create a space that I want to lay out, and then I can edit that, and I can overlay it, and I can move the physical objects, and I can move the digital objects in context of one another. And the idea would be is I can move through a concept all the way through completion and deployment. Now, that's a big deal, because if you think about the iterative experience from design, rooms or spaces or manufacturing layouts, or I'm building a new storefront and I'm not sure if this looks correct or whatever, you can move through that entire iteration process digitally and then just do that work once physically. So I'm going to show you a video case study from ThyssenKrupp Aerospace Division. Now this is an interesting case study. This touches on 2 big points. It touches on what we're doing in manufacturing around spatial layouts. You'll see that. It also talks about the insights that we're gathering from IoT. So this is kind of a double whammy case study because we're able to capture sensor data and use that in the context of the manufacturing line and spatial layout. So take a look at this and we'll talk about it when we're done.
At ThyssenKrupp Aerospace, we partner with the world's leading aerospace companies to simplify their supply chain management. We have a complex flow of materials in our factory to keep production running smoothly.
Our top priority is keeping people safe and making sure they have access to all the tools and information they need to make better decisions quickly.
Microsoft's mixed reality tools are helping us get there. As we take on new projects, we need to optimize our workflows. With Microsoft Layout, we're able to make design changes in our actual factory space with 3D holograms.
Once we have an optimized workflow, we use spatial analytics to help drive quality improvements. We're running 24/7 on most saws, so it's expensive to take one offline. Spatial analytics listens to our machines and helps to tell us the right time to replace a saw blade, balancing quality with the bottom line. One of the most stressful things in our business is when a customer calls to tell us they have a grounded plane waiting for a part. We have to drop everything and get that part out so the plane can get flying again. We need to move fast since it affects all of the other orders in our pipeline.
Cortana, what 14-foot saws are available?
Cell 14D is available.
Cortana, tell planning that I'm moving to cell 14D.
Integration with Teams and Cortana allows our workers to make quick, in-context decisions that speed up production. No matter how fast we're moving, we need to deliver the highest quality products every single time. When we finish an order, it's important to document the condition it was shipped in.
Spatial analytics helps us with the quality assurance process. We can store time-stamped information and photos about our work orders for future reference. With Microsoft's mixed reality tools, we're able to work faster, safer, and at a higher quality than ever before. We can't wait to scale this across our entire organization. There's so much possibility.
So that's one of my more favorite case studies because ThyssenKrupp has been an amazing customer we've worked with for years. They were shining beacon of what we did in the IoT space. There's probably 3 or 4 case studies we've done with them in mixed reality, and this one around spatial analytics. A couple things to keep in mind. I'm not sure if you took note. Did you notice the HoloLens with the hard hat? So for those of you that need hard hats in your environments, those are supported. We actually have and certification on top of the ability to do this. You can use hard hats. There's a special attachment you can get from Trimble, who's one of our partners that make an attachment and basically take out the inner ring of the HoloLens. You can attach the hard hat. And if you've never tried it with a hard hat, it is an amazing breath of fresh air because you go, that sounds like it would just be awful to wear a hard hat with HoloLens. And it's actually one of the more comfortable experiences you'd ever have wearing something like that. So again, if you're an architect and you're going to an open building wearing a suit and tie, you still need to wear a hard hat as well as something on the manufacturing line. The other side you saw were the buttons they were pushing. And so we're investing a lot in this space around spatial analytics, IoT devices and sensors that you can potentially incorporate into your kind of, your Kanban flow, if you will, in a manufacturing space. And there's lots of implication in being able to capture audio and do some interpretation. Again, I'm taking signal or sensors from the real world and I'm going, oh, that saw blade I know is going to be out of whack, or I know that that engine is not running at the right RPM level, or just, again, for those of you that repair things and do maintenance work on machinery, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you're the machine whisperer. We try to program that and model that into an application. So in the case of layout, what are the things you can do with this? Now, there's a really interesting byproduct of working on Windows mixed reality. Because you remember, I said mixed reality was a spectrum before. You can do work on HoloLens, and with layout, you can also do work in VR with our Windows mixed reality headsets. And so there's a really interesting opportunity to not only do the design work in a full VR experience, but then to take that work and then go on site to where that product is going to be located and do it in an augmented sense. And so both of those devices are fully supported. You can do mapping of the floors, walls, and ceilings. That's important because you don't want products floating in the air. They're designed to be on the floor, snap to a wall, and they want to be aware they're not going to touch the ceiling. So I can design those principles into the tool. And it comes loaded with a number of 3D models, and you can incorporate your own 3D content. In the case of doing a manufacturing line, or you're in a hospital doing some layout, sometimes it's not about, is it a hospital bed, but going, is this a 10 by 5 by 6 just volumetric space that I have to worry about? Because I have to deal with, will it fit through the door, for example? I don't need the actual object. I just need to know, will this primitive, this gray box, so to speak, fit? Which has been an interesting opportunity for a number of folks as well. So you can do kind of both. You can drag them, you can resize them. The idea being is you can replicate them. So if I want to create one chair, then I can replicate and copy those 1,000 times, so I can put chairs in this room, and then I can rotate them. And keeping in mind, it doesn't have to be at like a 45 or 90 degree angle. You can rotate them and spin them around as you see fit. You can import your own custom models, and you can do your own custom floor plans. So for those of you that have ever used Visio, going back forever, you can actually use Visio with a plugin that'll be available to do the floor plan customization. So you can go into Visio, kind of design a floor plan, and then you can shove it into layout, and boom, now you've got your spatial, your walls, if you will, for what you're going to be doing layout in spaces. If you see the picture there, you notice a lot of those designs aren't just, 4 90-degree angles making up a square or rectangle. There's lots of corners and angles you have to contend with, and so we want to make sure you're able to do that. And it's able to be compatible with video calling. So I'm able to do my layout, go into remote assist, establish that connection so some other folks can see the space that I'm building. So again, using that collaborative experience into spatial planning and design. So what do you need? In the case of mixed reality, you're going to use HoloLens. If you're using the mixed reality headsets, you obviously need a PC of a particular standard, the motion controllers, and the VR headset. You need a license, and then you also need Azure Active Directory in order to do the installation, the importation, and those other things. There's also additional things like the import tool that you decide you might want to use, if you decide you want to use Visio, and of course Remote Assist or Teams, depending on the collaborative nature. Now, great. I'm really interested in remote collaboration. I love layout. I don't have a whole lot of skill in my organization, but we love this. How do I get started? Where do I go? Well, we have a partner community. And for those of you who have worked with partners, we have a myriad of sizes of partners. We have partners that can solve all kinds of things. I happen to manage the partner program here for North America, so this is a little close and dear to my heart, but let me share this with you. Basically, you've got 4 types of partners when it comes to mixed reality HoloLens stuff. We have our folks in the reselling space. So you can, like, say I want to buy some HoloLens. Where do I go? You can buy them from Microsoft Direct, or you can go through some of our resellers. Now, on the right-hand side, you see examples. This is not meant to be a fully complete list, but we have, like, Insight in the US, we have Econocon and Bekla in Europe as an example of resellers. And they have the ability to help with fulfillment and other staging things and that kind of stuff. If you go, I want to build something bespoke and I need the 3D design content, or I'm going to use layout and I need someone to build me a custom 3D jet engine or something like that because I don't have those skills, where can I go? These are creative agencies. These are the people that I talked about that came out of the video game industry or the Hollywood industry with movies. These are folks with really high expertise in 3D design. And so you see a number of those on the right-hand side as well. Then you have common independent software vendors or ISVs. These are folks that you're used to, like the SAPs of the world. And so we've partnered with a number of them, CAE, PTC, who makes a bunch of software as well, Trimble, I talked about, and we have solutions that we partner with them that light up automatically in the mixed reality space. You buy their technology, it's just enabled for mixed reality. And then we have system integrators. These are the folks that are going to help you integrate this kind of technology. So for example, you take something like Remote Assist or a layout or some other ISV solution, you probably want to work with a solutions integrator because you go, great, help me through this POC, but I also need to manage this device. Well, it's also a Windows 10 based computer strapped to your face. You manage it like any other Windows 10 based computer, which means you can manage it with like EMS, Windows Intune, for example, from an EMS perspective. You can manage, Azure Active Directory. How do I make sure it's secured and locked down? How am I authenticating? How am I doing single sign-on? Same questions and answers you have for other products. We do the same here. So you may go, I need a system integrator to create a custom experience for my workforce. And so you see a number of those, Booz Allen, for example, in public sector and defense, Cognizant, Accenture, Valorum. There's a number, a list goes on and on and on. So point is, we have plenty of partners, and this gets back to the question, being honest with yourself about where you are in the universe of going, what are my skills, what are my use cases, and what do I need? We can help map partners to you. And the nice part is most of them are very reasonably costed. They don't go out and gouge most of our customers, thank goodness, that's great. They're very, very partnering, and they help us drive a mixed reality very well. So that's a big deal. Some additional resources. This deck will be available as part of the recording, so I'm not going to belabor telling you URLs and stuff, but you can get this after the presentation is over. The other thing, so what would I have you do? Before you run away, what are some of the asks? Well, if you haven't tried out Remote Assist or Layout, we have demos available in the expo hall. Please come take a trip with us down Mixed Reality Lane, give them a shot. There's a really hard to tell the story. It's much easier for you to try it on for yourself and go, wow, I get it. This totally makes sense. And that's real code, working in a real environment, working on real Wi-Fi. It's production code quality. So what you see is what you get when it comes to the technology. Feel free, if you find interest in downloading both of these. There's trials. We just went live with them this past week. And give them a run inside your organization. Again, we want that signal. Give us feedback. If you're thinking about doing other tie-ins with Azure, feel free to explore the Azure services. And in fact, if you happen to be a partner or you're really interested in Azure, feel free to come up and talk to me afterwards. I'm happy, we can talk about what we're doing in that space if you need more help. Work with partners. Certainly, if you're trying to sell this into your organization, there's a number of third-party analysts. I showed you the Harvard Business Review. Gartner's got a bunch of stuff. Forrester has a bunch of stuff where they talk about the power of mixed reality. The nice part is all of them are on the same page, which is it may not be totally, widespread and wide scale, for example, but like anything else, if you ever ran a marathon, you don't train for the marathon the day before the marathon. You start training for that marathon months and months, maybe a year beforehand. And so the idea going, let's get our hands and our feet wet with this technology, start getting some pilots of proof of concepts, and then we'll figure out where it makes sense and kind of go on from there. And so yeah, certainly have the opportunity to start now, and I'm happy to take questions with the remaining time, but for those of you, thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of your Ignite.